Welcome back. Hundreds of nurses throughout the country delivered on their promise, abandoned posts and hit the pavements in defiance over a new shift system set to take effect within weeks. Our Jamila Misik has the details in tonight's top story.
A reported 500 nurses across the country walk out over a shift change they say lacks any input from or agreement of the Bahamas Nurses Union. The Public Hospitals Authority last week announced that effective December 10th, there would be an 8-hour daily shift, a 40-hour work week as opposed to the current 10-hour shift for night duty nurses. BHA Managing Director Catherine Weech also at the time explained that nurses scheduled to work between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. will receive a $1.75 per hour premium in addition to their standard base hourly pay. But BNU President Amancha Williams said this is something the two sides did not mutually agree.
Today it's a walkout. It's not a strike. Today the nurses have taken their lunch hour to come to express to the public their concerns with the shift change.
The BNU president argues that the new shift change will also affect the quality of service of healthcare service providers.
The shift change is a slavery shift. It is not conducive to the worker. It makes the worker prone for medication errors. It also, at the end of the day, will cause more accidents, more injuries in the workplace. It would also will not allow the nurse to have a social life. It will have an impact on mothers. Mostly in the hospital, we have mothers working. So what would happen is that the nurse will have to find a daycare center. Who finds a daycare center at night? 5 nights a week.
Ms. Williams says the PHA was given until October 5th to come to the drawing board, but refused to meet with the nurses. Instead, they went ahead implementing without them.
This hospital is not providing the quality service that is needed for our public. We know that. So implementing a shift change will cause more problems. Here also in this building, the infrastructure of this building is terrible. You have mold, you have termites, you have wards, rats, you have wards that are not operating. A&E, there's a shortage. 60 nurses, 60 patients to 5 nurses and 3 doctors on a given shift. How are we able to serve our people in these conditions? So we say to our government, a shift change shouldn't be the priority. Providing quality service should be our priority.
The nurses say they will not work the shift change because it's not written in the industrial agreement.
The nurses are saying they'd rather quit than to work this slavery shift. This shift is not favorable at all. Not at all. At $1.75 per hour, not at all.
For our rights and the respect of nurses within this country. That is what we're standing for. Our basic rights and our industrial agreement that is signed and registered by the government from 2015 to 2020. Don't disrespect the union. Don't disrespect the industrial agreement. Abide by the law as stated. You are not above the law.
That's exactly.
You must abide by the law. You're not above the law. And that is all we're saying. Abide by the law. Show some respect at the table. Stop the bullying. Show the respect. And that is all we're asking.
The nurses insist they're always willing to sit at the negotiating table. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Jamila Misik.
The PHA has meantime promised to issue a release in response to today's demonstration. Meantime, a heads up from health officials that there may be an interruption in services at public health care facilities. That's the Princess Margaret Hospital, Sandilands Rehabilitative Center, as well as the Rand Memorial Hospital and all public clinics throughout the country today and Wednesday, October 31st. This means that there will not only be limited services, but there may be delays. It's advised then that those who are not critically ill not present themselves to the named facilities on these days. Sunwing's recent decision to sever ties with Grand Bahama has left labor officials with the added challenge of finding employment for Grand Bahamians, those already out of a job and those who could quite possibly join the unemployment line once the travel group actually pulls out. According to Labor Director John Pinder, here's what's already in the works.
We have already conducted two labor on the blocks in Grand Bahama. We're trying to accommodate Ocean Key that has a project coming on stream to find some technical assistance as relates to what their requirements are. There's a large project going on as it relates to farmer camp. We are hoping that Bahamians can qualify themselves to meet the requirements so that they're able to fill those vacancies.
But there's an issue, he says, his department needs to tighten up on, and that's Bahamians being treated unfairly when it comes to job vacancies. For instance, according to Mr. Pinder, Bahamians are sent to apply for certain job vacancies only to find out that those positions have been filled.
What we do at the Department of Labor, we issue something called a labor certificate. That labor certificate would speak to the fact that there has been some notice of vacancy published in the dailies for at least 3 days. When a Bahamian does not qualify, does not apply for it, then they will then come to the Labor Department. So then we will search our skills bank to see if there's any Bahamian qualified, and we will encourage them to go and apply for those positions to the employer. Now we just need to tighten up the system to ensure that they are being treated fairly during the interview process.
Here's what he recommends in terms of resolving this issue.
We need to ensure that when they apply, they ask for these qualifications, these criteria, that the person coming in, we want to be able to, or we should be able to satisfy ourselves that this person does meet this requirement that they're asking for, and that no Bahamian has met the requirement. I think we need to ensure that when the interview is done, there's some independent person sitting on that panel to ensure that the same questions were asked to everybody, so that in most cases we are of the view that these employers who want to bring in foreign workers already have somebody in mind. So we just want to ensure that the Bahamian actually did not outshine the person they want to bring in.
You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Alive.